Okay, so we're back in the middle of a game between a Chumbeque and HerziQuerzi. A Chumbeque is on blue-white Planeswalker control, and HerziQuerzi is on Tropic Thunder.
Yeah, so this game, Chumbeque got a pretty solid Mod 5. It is a Mod 5 with 20 buttons general, and if they find a land, a turn 3 Ico. HerziQuerzi, on the other hand, is on kind of a slower draw. No counter spells or anything, but C-cast, pit scripts. Unfortunately for Chumbeque, we see a Sea Sky Beyonds off top, which ETB is tapped. They're not going to be able to make use of HerziQuerzi not having any counter spells.
Well, so Chumbeque's just going to run out their Sworn Cohort now.
And unlike a lot of control decks in the format, I don't believe Tropic Thunder has any way to answer Sworn Cohort without killing it.
They have Body in the sideboard, but yeah, main deck, I don't think they have a way of dealing with that without killing it.
Yeah, and even sideboard, I don't think you really want Body experience versus blue-white Planeswalkers.
So, HerziQuerzi untaps with no counter spells in hand, I think.
Yeah, so fortunately for HerziQuerzi, this Ico is not super impactful right now. Well, actually, I take that back. Just saying Ico and -4 is probably a pretty big deal. Though HerziQuerzi will be able to bounty the Gardens in response if.
Does Chumbeque just? Oh, yeah, I guess they're passing, holding up Gaze Deeper. Or,
yeah, probably.
They're just hard casting Gaze Deeper. Has Chumbeque ever managed to cast Gaze Deeper for its pressure cost in a situation that they weren't already super winning?
I don't like the Gaze Deeper in this deck. I think it's very greedy.
Okay, more Planeswalkers.
Yeah, so that is a whole lot of gas.
But HerziQuerzi also has a lot of gas.
Yeah, so normally Avengers. Wait, sorry. I was about to say Avengers +1 deals with shifting lands, but HerziQuerzi makes it planes, so it does not hit shifting lands in this case.
Did that intentionally, or if it was just a happy accident?
I figure it's just a happy accident because the Nebula is on red-green. So HerziQuerzi still has no counter spells.
Well, Bounty, they run Diffuse, and
yeah, I guess it's just Diffuse and Cursory Glance. And Cursory Glance doesn't look like it does very much in this matchup with so many of Chumbeque's cards being drop or above.
A Diffuse and Cursory Glance and a bunch of ways to flash them back.
Yeah, so really HerziQuerzi is trying to find a Diffuse to get the kind of deck going online.
I think Chumbeque's probably just going to drop Headwind and -3 him.
Maybe. I'm not sure how I feel about that. It feels like that just means that Headwind dies to everything. Oh, interesting, actually, in the Mystery Workshop.
It puts into play... Okay, it doesn't put into play tapped, so Chumbeque will be able to cast Headwind after this.
Well, if HerziQuerzi lets it through, which they do, how do you feel about potentially playing a Bounty with the Gardens there to try and ambush the Wisty?
Actually, yeah, good point. What else is HerziQuerzi doing with their mana?
Well, I mean, the other thing that HerziQuerzi can do with the mana is Bounty plus Cane Dancer, which I think fills out a spot on the bingo.
Yeah, but actually HerziQuerzi isn't running Confirm in this deck. I wonder if he should be, though. Or if that would be a different deck.
Yeah, I don't know how much HerziQuerzi cares about the mana that Confirm gets you. Well, maybe.
So HerziQuerzi's going to end of turn Bounty and then
do nothing. Load of mana. I'm not sure.
Didn't they have
so what was that playing around? That was playing around nothing, loading the mana there. I feel like I would have preferred just to see a Cane Dancer in return to put on some pressure. But I'm not really sure what Chumbeque is doing.
Well, Chumbeque staring wistfully at their Children of the Clouds in hand, being unable to cast it. Yeah,
Children of the Clouds with Realign is kind of funny. So here we're going to see a Breach of Lilies, the Roads, and Chumbeque is going to die. But I guess not die because Breach of Lilies getting that bounty will enable Children of the Clouds, but the same kind of idea.
Meanwhile, Chumbeque's still not sacking the Ristia Workshop.
Yeah, I really don't know what Chumbeque's plan here was, because they have all these 4-drops in hand, where playing on a counterspell doesn't really do anything here, because you can just play Ico to try and kill the bounty or to get a -4 off. And I mean, if it's countered, whatever. Better than not doing anything. And in this case, they're getting very punished for it because Herzi has not funded a fuse, just despite having 3 ways in how to get back.
Okay, yeah, Thunder Roads, I think.
So what do you like targeting here with Thunder Roads?
Face.
The Risty Workshop is still active. And there's...
What? Wait, does
no, okay, so...
Did they have mana for Thunder Roads there?
Oh, did they not?
No, I think they did, right? Because Breach the
Oh,
Lilies...
they did.
Yeah, they did.
Maybe they tapped incorrectly? No, I think they tapped incorrectly.
Wait, did they?
Because they tapped the Nebula for the green.
Oh, huh.
So they didn't have red.
Wow, this is...
Well, it doesn't end up mattering because now they can... Oh, there's the acknowledge, yeah. It doesn't matter, but sorry, Chumbeque doesn't have any instant speed interaction, any meaningful instant speed interaction.
And meanwhile, Chumbeque just dies with a bunch of Planeswalkers in hand, and...
That was a very weird game.
I feel like it's a comedy of errors.
Like, Children of the Clouds... Like, why was Children of the Clouds not used to Trump? Like...
Well, at least Chumbeque admitted that he goofed.
Well, I don't know what that means. Because, is that I goofed the turn, or I goofed every turn since turn 4? I don't know. That was bizarre.
That was hilarious. Anyways, the sideboarding.
So, Chumbeque gets Sigil Radiance, which seems good. Forbidden Treasure, which seems good. Elaborate Transportation, probably alright.
It kills tokens.
Kills tokens, so it kills the Shifting Line tokens.
Felice?
Felice
kills
the Shifting Line tokens. Also, Felice notably does shut down Cane Dancer.
Right.
And Breach the Lilies. And Toddy's probably not that very good here.
Okay. Meanwhile, Herzi puts in more counter spells, I guess, and out body.
Yeah. Well, out body only hits the Swung Core.
Right.
Yeah, I think because he just gets a whole load of counter spells. Probably end up... How do you feel about Cursory Glance in this matchup?
I guess you can probably afford to cut it because you have Negate and to counter the Barton's Journal.
Yeah, I guess. Does Herzi not have any way to clear the Barton's Journal when it sits in play? No.
No, yeah. No, they don't have any.
Yeah, so I wouldn't trust it. I'd probably board it out even. Since it's... I think Chumbeque might be on almost 0 hits for it. Days Deeper costing being 5 mana value, Children of the Clouds, Hemley not being that good in this matchup.
Yeah.
One cohort. I guess one cohort's a hit, but not a really exciting one.
So Chumbeque has boarded in Forbidden Treasure and Elaborate Transport.
Yeah, makes sense. But they are only on 2 lands.
Meanwhile, Herzi has boarded in Redo.
Makes sense. So this is kind of the problem with being on mono 4-drops, is that you need 4 lands. And even if you get to 4 lands, you need to have a whole bunch of turns to do stuff.
Good news is Chumbeque does have mana for Forbidden Treasure, so Herzi can't run away with the game too much, even if Chumbeque stumbles a bit.
That's true. Herzi's hand doesn't really do anything. So Chumbeque will have some time to find lands. Or not.
Hard card.
Do you like countering this?
I think so. Because Herzi can't deal with it other than killing it. But okay, yeah, Herzi just lets it resolve then. Yeah,
it's kind of interesting because Herzi doesn't have a clean answer to it. But at the same time, it's not like Chumbeque's deck is putting on much damage, nor is Herzi's mana base dealing much damage to them.
Yeah, Herzi can just afford to take the damage.
And now, will this rail line be... Oh, I guess the question is, will Chumbeque play around the counterspell with the rail line?
There's no point in playing around the counterspell here, right? You need to drop the rail line or else you're horribly behind.
Well, no, but the thing is that Chumbeque needs to tap the land prior to bouncing it with the rail line.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Chumbeque knows about that. No, Chumbeque.
So that happened quickly.
Chumbeque, no, don't.
So
Okay.
with how Chumbeque did it, they did not tap the mana beforehand. It seems like Fuse would be able to counter it, but it doesn't look like Herzi's pushing for it.
I
It
guess
also looked like it was always fine.
I guess Herzi thinks there's more important cards to counter.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of be a bit moved to the situation just because I don't want to be like a call a judge and screw my opponent over for not tapping the mana pre-realign.
Elaborate. Oh yeah, and now Chumbeque's going on a land destruction plan.
Yeah, so I think if you're Herzi, you probably have to counter this, right?
Yeah, that's actually pretty clever. Although, like, Chumbeque could have done it on his turn in order to play around the Fuse.
That's true, but you also want to play your 4-drops, which you have 4 of. 5 of, if you draw land, so...
No, I mean, like, last turn, Chumbeque can, since they were on 2 lands plus a rail line, they can tap the mana, rail line, return the land, play a land again, tap for mana, and then...
Oh, that's true. I see what you're saying. Yeah, that probably would have been smarter. So...
Okay, there's their forest source. So I think Chumbeque's probably just going to try to run out their Planeswalker into counter spells and hopefully get one through eventually.
Well, which one are you trying to get through? Probably Venge? To start
A Felice.
do kind of similar release? I guess you have 3 Avenge, so I imagine this will either redo.
So Herzi has Redo, Cane Dancer, Breach, Breach, Cane Dancer, Cane Dancer. So that's going to be a lot of counters coming up.
It looks like Herzi notices the Anzen on the other side, or 2 non-2 sides to fuse using Breach the Lilies.
That's I guess that's a decent use of Breach Lilies.
I guess Breach doesn't exile the fuse, which is a nice interaction.
So Herzi has Thunderbolt's mana now, I think.
Yeah, they're 20, so I don't know how much that matters exactly.
Okay, there's Barton's Journal.
There's a Barton's Journal. I don't know if it does much here.
Well,
you can run it out and probably resolves, but I think Herzi's plan is to counter every relevant spell.
Well, if Chumbeque draws another land, then they can play a 4-drop and hold up Forbidden Treasure.
Yeah, very true.
Are they going to Thunderbolts here? No, they're not.
I suppose this one cohort is kind of chipping away as he's under 12. But at the same time, it's not like Chumbeque has any way to punish a low life total.
So Herzi doing main phase Echoing Knowledge, which, okay, yeah, it's a sorcery.
So this is one of my peeves with these kind of Cane Dancer plus counters plus draw decks. Is that you can't put that much pressure on your opponent.
Sigil of Radiance, and Forbidden Treasure.
Bounty. Yeah, so Sigil Radiance is a pretty nasty card here, considering Herzi has a full house of Breach the Lilies and Cane Dancers.
The Chumbeque, Herzi has enough counter spells to deal with this plus Forbidden Treasure, right?
Yes, but they'll need to spend 2 of them to do so. They need to
You mean Breach the Lilies?
Breach the Lilies, and then if, depending on how Chumbeque responds, they'll have to redo. If Chumbeque Forbidden Treasures the Breach the Lilies, then they can just cast another Breach the Lilies. Actually,
they're safe either ways, I think.
Yeah, either way.
So, yeah, better to get the Diffuse and then forbid that, or is Chumbeque just going to pay here?
Yeah, here doesn't.
I think Chumbeque should just pay. Yeah, save the Forbidden Treasure for getting through a Planeswalker later.
Well, you know that Herzi has another counter spell here with how this is set up, right? If you charge a Forbidden Treasure, it just gets eaten by whatever counter spell Herzi has here. So you see Breach, kind of neat Breach interaction.
Breach doesn't exile the thing it targets, it exiles itself.
Imagine you just pay here.
Yeah, just trying to get counters out of their hand.
Yeah, well, if you Forbidden Treasure, it just is the thing that gets counted. I don't think there's any benefit to. I guess the question would be if Herzi didn't have another counterspell but had a Breach the Lilies or Cane Dancer, then Forbidden Treasure would make the Sigil resolve. But that seems kind of risky.
Yeah. So now that Herzi has used up 2 of the Breach Lilies, It doesn't really do much
Three.
here.
So it feels like Herzi does kind of need to draw a bounty.
Herzi has 3
At
counter
some point.
spells now. Mana for 3 counter spells.
Yeah, but they do kind of need to win the game at some point. And it's not like Thunder Roads get someone from 20 to 0, right?
Oh, another Burton's Journal.
The sad life of a legendary mana rock.
Oh, Chumbeque's not going to run out his or anything, and
Okay, I don't know what this. I think this is just another kind of paranoia around counter spells that you can't afford to have.
I mean, I made the same mistake when I was facing Herzi in round 1, so I don't really blame Chumbeque.
Yeah, that's fair. Though in this case, it's like, well, when do you run them out? Like, there's an idea of like, okay, yeah, you can get enough mana, but like, do you really care about the second Avenge? Like, do you really care about the Wanderer in this matchup?
Okay, so Herzi's he's gonna kill
Does
the
he
cohort,
use the cohort?
and now Chumbeque's gonna. Oh, wait, that was actually a good play.
Yeah,
Passing
so
the
this
turn.
will,
Wait,
yeah, it works out. And that will also prevent the draw off the Echoing Knowledge.
wait, Chumbeque is secretly 900 IQ. Like passing the turn, doing nothing. That actually paid off for them.
Yeah, I guess. I guess it does work out, but like, I guess like really, Swan Cohort should not be your win con here. I'm like,
Oh right, you can't counter the whole thing because Thunder Roll
um,
copies itself.
yeah. So this is, I guess it doesn't actually matter whether it's the main copy or the main spell, the copy.
So this
Because
Chumbeque
even if
going.
you hit a copy, like the main thing will go to the graveyard, but Hosey doesn't have any way to get it back. So Thunder Roads and Graveyard doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I mean it does
And
get rid of one of Herzi's win conditions. So now Chumbeque just has the Forbidden Treasure, the bounty, and then they can just win eventually.
are you disrespecting Cane Dancer beats? As a bit, yeah, Cane Dancer beats. So interestingly, so we get to see Hosey's deck, and interestingly, they bring in Sheldrain's Rage for the Children of the Clouds.
Huh.
I don't really like that. I don't like. Chumbeke's only got 24 lands. I don't think. Oh, sorry, not even 24, 20 plus 8 mana rocks. So.
Chumbeque fetching even more Planeswalkers. Do they not have any other legendary lands?
We saw Sea of Skies Beyond
Wait,
in game 1.
they have Idravir in the deck somewhere, right?
They do not.
Wait, why are they not running Idravir?
Actually asked them that because we played in League and they preferred the 1 mana activation off Risty enough.
Okay. Yeah, but not
Well,
having
that,
Idravir here kind of hurts because they can't fetch a land off Sworn Cohort.
well, they could fetch Sea of Skies Beyond since
But
that is legendary.
yeah,
But they
but
just
that's
decided not
tapped.
to. Well, it doesn't matter here because they use the Forbidden Treasure.
I think Chumbeque should be just running out spells here because they have nothing to hold up.
Yeah, absolutely. And they did get rewarded for holding back last turn.
Quote unquote rewarded. They just prevented 3 damage. That's all they did.
Well, they exiled the Thunder Roads. They got hand knowledge.
I don't think hand knowledge really helps them here. Like you know
Yeah.
your opponent's on all counter spells, but you probably would have already guessed that by then.
Yeah, well, knowing that's 3 Cane Dancers is nice.
So Wanderer first.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Felice is actually kind of hard for Percy to deal with.
Yeah.
Going to 5 loyalty stops Cane Dancer. Percy's deck is has a lot of spell velocity, I guess I'll call it. But Percy should eventually be able to find a bounty.
There it is.
Yeah.
The question is Herzi going to play it right now or when Chumbeque is
I don't think it matters because you have the diffuse taxing for what makes it kind of hard for a Forbidden Treasure to get through.
Finally fetching the Seed of Skies Beyond.
Or not. Maybe this is an Airy Pillar or a Bygone Guardian. Yeah, and this is kind of. I will say that these 2 games have kind of been a good example of why you build your deck without 24 drops. Or how many Chumbeque has? 16. Post board it's probably 20.
I mean, but
maybe 20.
But what non 4 drops can I even run in that deck?
But you could just like run less Avengers. You could run like less Wanderers. Um,
I mean, those cards are sort of key to the deck, but yeah, I guess you can afford to run less of them.
I mean, yes, like there's a point where you have to say like a dinosaur tribal is not really where you want to be. Like you don't need that many dinosaurs. Like really, all you need is Dreadmore and Force, right?
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Is Chumbeque just dead here?
Yes, the Cane Dancer.
Right. Chain Dancer beats actually coming through.
Hitting the last point.
Yeah. Chumbeque, you didn't just goof game 1, you also goofed game 2.
Well, what could they have done differently in game 2? Because the earliest time they could run out walkers was on the Forbidden Treasure, right? I'm misremembering.
Right, yeah.
But game 1 was definitely seemed to be a bit of a scary cat moment. And I don't even think they're talking about that. I think they're talking about Children of the Clouds to double chump the 2 bounty tokens.
Right. I mean, both players made the same mistake that I made, so yeah.
Yeah.
It's just something that I think it's just the sort of mistake that lots of players make against counterspell heavy decks.
Yeah, it's definitely like something you can definitely mess up. It's easy to be like, it's hard to know when to play around counters versus when to play into them. But really, this is kind of like if you have 5 4-drops in hand and like 5 mana, well, you're never going to be able to play around a counterspell. Right?
Yeah. So it seems like Herzi's going to make top 8, while Chumbeque unfortunately did not make it.
Maybe you could tell, but I wasn't really a big fan of Chumbeque's deck. It's just very, very greedy.
I mean, I thought the Gaze Deepers and the Children were a pretty obvious indication.
Yeah, like I'm kind of looking at them like, okay, well, how do you beat aggro? Mind you, I guess the answer is you just lock them out with turn 2 Bardens, turn 3 Headwind, turn 4 Echo.
You're running main deck Children's. Children is good against aggro.
Well, not when you like Children for 2 only does so much, right? Like this is different than like Rejuvenation, where it's like, oh yeah, your opponents attack you on turn 4 and you Children for 6, right? But yeah, maybe you'll be able to get revenge in the top 8.
Well, if I get paired up with Herzi. Well, actually, Herzi's deck also has a chance of not losing horribly to Infuse, so maybe they'll also get the grudge match against Infuse.
Yeah, so it's looking like you will either play Infuse in round 1, or alternatively, you play the tiebreaker round 1 and then play Infuse in the quarterfinals. So, yeah, maybe it's not looking so hot for Rejuve.
I just have to draw all 4 copies of my sideboard Forbidden Treasures in game 2 and game 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.